The morning sun peeked through the curtains of Alan Blackwood's cabin. At 62, the former commander of Earth's Space Defense Force enjoyed his peaceful retirement in the Montana wilderness. His wife Patricia hummed in the kitchen as the smell of fresh coffee filled their home. "Alan, come quick," Patricia called, her voice shaking. Alan rushed to the living room where Patricia stood frozen in front of their wall screen. The emergency broadcast symbol flashed across it. "A news," reporter with wide eyes spoke rapidly. "We repeat. Unknown vessels have been detected entering our solar system beyond Neptune's orbit. Officials confirm these are not human ships. I repeat, we have confirmed first contact with non-human intelligence." Alan felt his heart beat faster. For decades, humanity had searched the stars hoping to find other intelligent life. Now that day had come. But something in his gut told him this wasn't the friendly meeting people had imagined. "They're calling everyone back," he whispered to Patricia. "They'll call me too." 3 days later, Alan stood in the United Earth Space Force headquarters beneath Denver. The room buzzed with activity as officers and scientists hurried between stations. On the main screen, images showed the alien ships approaching Jupiter. General Frank Miller, a tall man with salt and pepper hair, approached Alan. "Glad you could join us, Commander." "I'm retired, Frank," Alan reminded him. "Not anymore." President Harding reactivated all senior officers an hour ago. On the upper level of the command center, Dr. Olivia Grant worked with her team of linguists. At 35, she was the youngest head of xenolinguistics in the UESF. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail as she studied patterns on her screen. "General Miller," she called down, "we're picking up regular signals from the vessels. They're definitely trying to communicate." "Can you decode it?" Miller asked. "Working on it. The mathematics seem familiar, but the language structure is unlike anything we've cataloged before." For 2 weeks, the alien fleet maintained their position near Jupiter. Earth's military forces went on high alert, while Olivia's team worked day and night to understand the alien messages. "I think I have something," Olivia announced one morning. Dark circles hung under her eyes from lack of sleep. "They keep repeating these patterns. It seems like a greeting followed by, I'm not sure, but it could be a request to meet. President." Ellen Harding, joining by video from Washington, nodded. "Send our greeting message, the one we prepared for first contact." "Ma'am," Olivia hesitated. "There's something else in their message. These signals here," she pointed to a pattern on her screen. "Match warning patterns in many Earth languages. I think they might be issuing some kind of threat or ultimatum." Admiral Howard, the highest-ranking officer present, shook his head. "Speculation, Doctor. Let's not jump to conclusions because of pattern similarity." Against Olivia's advice, Earth sent its welcome message offering peace and cooperation. The aliens responded with silence. Then, without warning, their fleet moved. "They're accelerating toward Mars," a sensor officer yelled. "Estimated arrival in 6 hours." Olivia rushed to her station. "My brother Kevin is on Mars. The new Seattle colony has over 20,000 people." Alan watched the monitors with growing dread as the alien vessels positioned themselves around the red planet. Earth's Mars Defense Fleet, 12 of humanity's best warships, moved to intercept them. "This is Admiral Chen of the Earth vessel Galileo," the transmission went out. "Unknown vessels, please state your intentions. We welcome peaceful contact, but will defend our colonies if necessary." The response came in a burst of energy that no one expected. Beams of light shot from the alien ships, slicing through the Earth vessels like they were made of paper. Within 90 seconds, the entire Mars defense fleet had been destroyed. "My God," whispered Miller. The aliens weren't finished. Their weapons turned toward the Mars colonies. New Seattle, Olympus City, and 3 smaller settlements vanished in flashes of light. Over 50,000 lives, gone in minutes. Olivia collapsed in her chair, sobbing. "Kevin, they're all gone." The command center fell silent until a new transmission appeared on the main screen. The image showed a being unlike anything humans had seen before. It had gray-blue skin with no visible mouth, 6 eyes arranged in a circle, and tentacle-like appendages where arms would be on a human. "People of Earth?" the alien spoke, its words translated through some unknown technology. "We are the Zerkton. Your species has been judged and found wanting. You will surrender your planet and all colonies to us within one cycle of your moon. Those who submit will be preserved. Those who resist will be eliminated." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in shocked silence. "Get me everything we have on their ships," President Harding ordered, her voice steady despite the situation. "I want to know their capabilities, weaknesses, anything we can use." Over the next few days, Earth's remaining forces gathered and analyzed data from the Mars attack. The news wasn't good. The aliens had technology far beyond human understanding. Their ships moved faster, their weapons cut through the best human defenses, and their shields seemed impenetrable. In a secure meeting room, President Harding met with her top military advisors. "What are our options?" she asked. Admiral Howard spread his hands. "Madam President, we have nothing that can match their technology. Our best weapons couldn't even scratch their smallest ships." "There is one option," General Miller said quietly. All eyes turned to him. "Protocol Lazarus." The room grew tense. Alan, newly reinstated as commander, frowned. Lazarus was shelved decades ago because it was too dangerous. "What is Protocol Lazarus?" President Harding asked. Miller pressed his palm to a scanner, and a classified file appeared on everyone's screens. "After the Roswell incident in 2089, we recovered technology we still don't fully understand. Our scientists managed to reverse engineer parts of it. The results were frightening." The screen showed images of massive ships hidden in an underground facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. 10 experimental warships with technology derived from the crash. They use a quantum displacement field that theoretically could tear apart matter at the subatomic level. But the energy requirements are enormous, and we've never tested them in actual combat. President Harding looked at the images for a long time. Outside the building, people gathered in the streets, some praying, others protesting, many simply waiting for the end. "How long until they reach Earth?" she asked. "At their current speed, 27 days. Admiral Howard answered. The president stood up. "Then we have 27 days to prepare. Activate Protocol Lazarus. Commander Blackwood, you'll lead the mission." Alan nodded grimly. As the meeting ended, he looked out the window at the sky. Somewhere up there, an enemy was coming that humanity had no right to defeat. Yet somehow they had to find a way. His secure phone buzzed with a message from Patricia. "Whatever happens, I'm proud of you." He would need that strength in the days ahead. Chief Engineer Doug Pearson hated being underground. At 67, his bones ached in the damp air of the massive hidden facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. For 20 years, he had opposed Project Lazarus on moral grounds. Now, he was the only person alive who could bring the experimental fleet to life. "I never thought we'd actually use these," he muttered as he walked alongside Commander Alan Blackwood through the enormous underground hangar. 10 massive ships hung in specialized docks. Unlike normal spaceships, these vessels had smooth, dark hulls with no visible windows or conventional engines. Strange blue light pulsed beneath their surfaces like glowing veins. "Neither did I," Alan replied. "But here we are." A young officer hurried toward them. "Commander, the crew assignments are complete. Everyone's arriving now." "Thank you, Lieutenant Wells," Alan said. Samantha Wells nodded sharply. At 34, she was one of the best tactical officers in the Space Force. Her blonde hair was cut in a practical military style, and her blue eyes missed nothing. "Sir, with respect," she said, "none of us have trained on these vessels. We have less than a month before the Zerkton reach Earth." "Then we better get started," Alan said grimly. The next few days were chaos as crews boarded the experimental ships. Alan took command of the flagship, named UES Defiance. Alongside Lieutenant Wells, his command crew included Carlos Rodriguez for navigation, Sean Murphy for weapons, and Dr. Grace Kim as medical officer. "This technology scares me," Dr. Kim admitted as Pearson gave them a tour of the ship's systems. She was 40, with kind eyes that had seen too much suffering since the Mars attack. "It should scare you," Pearson replied, opening a panel to reveal a glowing blue core. This is the heart of the quantum displacement field. We reverse engineered it from the 2089 crash, but we don't fully understand how it works. What exactly does it do? Murphy asked. The weapons specialist was built like a boxer with quick hands and quicker eyes. Pearson sighed. In theory, it creates a field that can tear apart matter at the subatomic level. Anything caught in the field simply comes apart. No explosion, no debris, just gone. The crew fell silent, imagining the implications. The power requirements must be enormous, Rodriguez said. The navigation officer was younger than the others, just 28, but had graduated top of his class. That's the other problem, Pearson agreed. Each ship has 3 nuclear reactors. Even then, we can only maintain the field for short periods. Meanwhile, the Zerkton continued their advance through the solar system. They attacked the mining colonies on Jupiter's moons, killing thousands more and capturing hundreds of humans. Each day brought new reports of losses and horror. In a secure briefing room, Intelligence Officer Nathan Price showed Alan and his officers the latest findings. We've intercepted and partially decoded some of their communications, Price explained, displaying images on the main screen. The Zerkton aren't just here for conquest. They've done this before. The screen showed images of alien worlds, all devastated. We believe they've destroyed at least 7 other civilizations before finding us. What do they want? Wells asked. Resources, certainly, Price replied. But they're taking people alive when they could just kill everyone. They're looking for something, or someone. Dr. Kim added quietly. Training continued day and night. The crews struggled to master the unfamiliar technology. During one simulation, a power surge nearly activated the displacement field inside the hangar, which would have been catastrophic. We need more time, Pearson complained to Alan after another failed test. We don't have it, Alan replied, pointing to the latest update. The Zerkton fleet had reached Saturn's rings and destroyed the research outposts there. They'll be at Earth in 2 weeks. One evening, as Rodriguez ran navigation drills, he noticed something strange in the field projections. Commander, he called to Alan. I think I found something. The young officer pointed to patterns in the quantum field simulations. The field isn't random. It follows this mathematical sequence. If we adjust our power output to match it, we could increase efficiency and control. Pearson finished examining the data. Good work, Rodriguez. The breakthrough improved their training results, but problems remained. The displacement field was still unpredictable, sometimes failing to form properly or collapsing unexpectedly. Dr. Kim made her own discovery while reviewing data from the Zerkton attacks. Look at this, she told Alan during a late-night briefing. They're taking specific people from each colony. I've compared the records of those captured versus those killed. They're selecting for certain genetic markers. What does that mean? Alan asked. I don't know yet, Kim admitted, but they're looking for something in our DNA. As the days passed, the pressure mounted. Wells and Blackwood spent long hours planning attack strategies, growing closer through their shared determination to save Earth. I lost my whole family on Mars, Wells confessed during a rare quiet moment. My parents, my sister, her kids. I'm sorry, Alan said simply. I don't need sorry, Wells replied, her eyes hard. I need these ships to work. With just 9 days remaining before the Zerkton would reach Earth, an unexpected complication arose. Security detected an intruder on the Defiance. Guards found a teenage girl hiding in a storage compartment. Who are you and how did you get in here? Alan demanded when they brought her to him. My name is Lisa Morgan, she said defiantly. My parents were scientists on the Mars colony. They were working on quantum field theory before the attack. Dr. Kim checked the records and confirmed her story. Both her parents died in New Seattle. That doesn't explain why you're here, Alan said to the girl. Lisa looked him directly in the eyes. Because I understand how the field works. My parents had theories about the 2089 crash. They shared everything with me. Alan was skeptical until Lisa described internal systems of the ship that weren't in any public record. Get Pearson. He ordered The chief engineer listened as Lisa explained her understanding of the quantum displacement field. The problem isn't the field itself, she said, drawing diagrams that Pearson studied carefully. It's the power distribution. You're trying to maintain a consistent field, but it naturally wants to pulse. Like a heartbeat, Pearson mused, seeing the logic in her explanation. If we modify the reactors to deliver power in synchronized pulses rather than a steady stream, Lisa continued, we could amplify the field's strength while using less energy. That's actually brilliant, Pearson admitted, but risky. Any miscalculation in the timing could cause the reactors to overload. It's risky, yes, Lisa agreed, but your current approach has a 0% chance of working against their main fleet. Alan looked at Pearson. Could her idea work? The old engineer nodded slowly. Theoretically, yes, but we'd have to rebuild parts of the power distribution system on all 10 ships. With the time we have left, then we better get started, Alan said, making his decision. We'll try it on the Defiance first. If it works, we'll modify the other ships. As they left to begin the modifications, Lisa looked back at the tactical display showing the Zirctan fleet's approach. They killed my parents, she said quietly. I want to be there when we make them pay. Alan understood the feeling too well. Vengeance wouldn't bring back the dead, but it might save the living. With renewed determination, the crew began the race against time, hoping Lisa's insights would give them the edge they desperately needed. The lights flickered throughout the UES Defiance as the ship's system strained under the test conditions. Inside the control room, sweat beaded on Doug Pearson's forehead, while his fingers flew across the control panel. Power levels reaching. Critical, he shouted. The reactor can't handle the pulse sequence. Commander Alan Blackwood gripped the edge of his command chair. Lisa, we need options. The teenage girl didn't look up from her calculations. Reduce the amplitude on reactor 2 by 17%, but increase frequency by 22%. Pearson made the adjustments, muttering under his breath about taking advice from children. The warning alarm suddenly stopped and the ship's lights stabilized. It worked, he said, sounding surprised. The field is stable. On the main view screen, they could see the quantum displacement field forming around their ship, a shimmering bubble of energy that distorted light passing through it. In the test chamber beyond the ship, a target drone hovered. Extend the field, Alan ordered. Rodriguez carefully manipulated the controls. The field expanded until it touched the drone. In an instant, the drone simply disappeared, not exploding, not breaking apart, but vanishing completely as its matter was torn apart at the subatomic level. Success, Lieutenant Wells said softly. The control room erupted in cheers. Lisa didn't join the celebration. It's still not enough, she said to Alan. The field extended for only 3 seconds before collapsing, and the power drain was enormous. Against the main Zirctan fleet, we'd need to maintain it longer. One problem at a time, Alan replied. At least we know it works. Over the next 5 days, all 10 ships in the Lazarus fleet were modified according to Lisa's specifications. The crews trained relentlessly, learning to coordinate their actions for maximum effect. The Defiance led every drill, with the other ships following its lead. During a rare break, Rodriguez approached Lisa in the ship's mess hall. The navigation officer sat down across from her with his coffee. How did you really know about the pulse sequence? He asked directly. Lisa looked up from her tablet. I told you my parents were quantum physicists. Yes, Rodriguez interrupted. But this technology came from the 2089 crash. The military kept it classified for decades. Your parents shouldn't have known anything about it. Lisa was quiet for a moment. My mother worked for the government before moving to Mars. She never told me exactly what she did, but she had nightmares about it, about something they found. The crash site, Rodriguez guessed. Lisa nodded. She left thousands of notes, equations, diagrams, warnings. I memorized all of it. Meanwhile, Dr. Kim continued her research into the Zirctan selection patterns among human captives. She called Alan and Wells to the medical bay to show them her findings. Look at this, she said, displaying genetic sequences on her screen. The people they're capturing all share these specific genetic markers. They're rare, appearing in less than 2% of the human population. What's special about these markers? Wells asked. That's the strange part, Kim replied. These genetic sequences aren't functional in modern humans. They're what we call junk DNA, leftover code from our evolutionary past that doesn't do anything anymore. Then why would the aliens care about it? Alan wondered. I have a theory, Kim said hesitantly. What if it's not junk? What if these sequences once did something but became dormant over time? The implications hung in the air. What if the Zerkton were hunting for something hidden in human DNA? Training intensified as the deadline approached. The Zerkton fleet had reached Earth's moon and destroyed the lunar colonies. They now orbited Earth, their massive ships visible in the night sky like new menacing stars. During one particularly difficult simulation, the Defiance's displacement field collapsed unexpectedly, which would have left them vulnerable in a real battle. What happened? Alan demanded. Murphy, the weapons specialist, reviewed the data. The field generators overheated. We're pushing them beyond their design limits. We need better cooling systems, Pearson said. There's no time, Alan replied, checking the mission clock. The Zerkton ultimatum expires in 36 hours. That night, Alan couldn't sleep. He walked the corridors of the Defiance, eventually finding himself in the observation deck. To his surprise, Lieutenant Wells was already there, looking out at the other ships in the hangar. Thinking about Mars? He asked quietly. She nodded without turning. And about tomorrow. We have one chance at this, Commander. Alan, he corrected. If we're about to save the world together, you might as well use my first name. She smiled slightly. Samantha, then. They stood in companionable silence, looking at the fleet that represented humanity's last hope. Do you think we can win? She finally asked. I think we have to try, he answered honestly. In the early hours of the morning, Lisa woke Alan with an urgent call. Commander, I need to show you something. In the ship's lab, she had set up a simulation of the quantum displacement field. I've been reviewing the test data, she explained, and I noticed a pattern in how the field behaves when it collapses. The simulation showed the energy field pulsing in an unmistakable rhythm. It's not random, Rodriguez said, joining them. The collapse follows the same pattern every time. Exactly, Lisa said. And if we know the pattern, we can predict when it will happen and compensate for it, Alan finished. Lisa smiled. Better than that. We can use the collapse itself as a weapon. She explained her theory. If they deliberately collapsed the field at the right moment, it would release a massive burst of energy in a controlled direction. Like turning the shield into a spear, Rodriguez said, understanding. They took the idea to Pearson, who spent hours checking the math before reluctantly agreeing it could work. But we'd only get one shot, he warned. After a directed collapse, the generators would burn out. One shot might be all we need, Alan said, if we hit them where it hurts. With just hours remaining before the Zerkton ultimatum expired, Alan called the entire crew together for a final briefing. Tomorrow we face an enemy with technology far beyond our own, he told them. We are outnumbered and outgunned, but we have something they don't expect. This technology they've never seen before and the determination to save our world. He looked around at their faces, Wells with her quiet strength, Rodriguez with his brilliant mind, Murphy with his steady hands, Dr. Kim with her compassion, Pearson with his reluctant genius, and Lisa with her uncanny understanding of the technology that might save them all. Get some rest, he concluded. Tomorrow we make history, or we become part of it. As the crew dispersed, Dr. Kim approached Alan privately. Commander, I found something else in my research, she said quietly. The genetic markers the Zerkton are looking for. I ran your DNA through the database. Alan stared at her. And? You have them, Kim said simply. So does Lisa Morgan. Whatever they're hunting for, it's in both of you. Alan absorbed this revelation silently, wondering what it meant for the battle ahead. What were the Zerkton really after? And how was he connected to their true purpose? Those questions would have to wait. Tomorrow they would fight for Earth's survival, or witness its end. The massive view screens in Earth's defense headquarters showed the Zirctan ultimatum countdown, 24 hours remaining. President Harding stood before the United Nations in New York, her face composed, despite the gravity of the situation. People of Earth, she addressed the global audience. The Zirctan have demanded our surrender by tomorrow. They expect us to bow down, to accept extinction or slavery. She paused, her eyes moving across the assembled leaders. We will do neither. Instead, we will send them a message of our own. Behind the scenes, her speech was part of a carefully orchestrated plan. While she appeared to be preparing for negotiations, the real response waited beneath the Pacific Ocean. In the underwater base, final preparations for the Lazarus fleet were underway. Commander Alan Blackwood stood in the Defiance's ready room with his senior officers. The president's speech is buying us time, he explained. The Zirctan believe we're preparing terms of surrender. Instead, we'll launch when they least expect, during the supposed negotiation call. What if they detect our launch? Lieutenant Wells asked. Intelligence suggests their attention will be focused on the major population centers and military bases, Alan replied. They're not looking for a threat from the middle of the ocean. Chief Engineer Pearson updated them on the ship's status. All 10 vessels are ready. The quantum displacement generators are at maximum capacity, and Lisa's modifications have been implemented across the fleet. And the directed collapse technique? Alan asked. Programmed and ready, Rodriguez confirmed. But remember, we only get one shot with each ship. Then we better make them count, Murphy said grimly. As the briefing concluded, Dr. Kim pulled Alan aside with new information. I've been analyzing communications intercepted from the Zirctan fleet, she said. I'm starting to understand their language better. They keep referring to something called the awakening in relation to the genetic markers they're seeking. Any idea what that means? Alan asked. Kim shook her head. Not yet, but there seems to be disagreement among them. Some are pushing to destroy Earth immediately, while others want to capture more humans with the markers first. Then we need to strike while they're still arguing, Alan decided. 12 hours remained on the ultimatum clock when Alan made a private call to his wife, Patricia. Her face appeared on his screen, tired but determined. Is it time? She asked simply. Alan nodded. We launch in 10 hours. I wanted to see you, just in case. Patricia wiped away a tear. You'll come back. You always do. If we succeed, everything changes, Alan said. The world will know about this technology, what it can do. There's no going back. There's already no going back, Patricia replied. Just make sure there's a future to go forward into. Throughout the fleet, similar scenes played out as crew members made what might be their final calls to loved ones. The weight of humanity's survival rested on their shoulders. 6 hours before the ultimatum expired, an unexpected message arrived from the Zirctan fleet. Dr. Kim rushed to decode it. Commander, you need to see this, she called Alan to the communications room. The Zirctan are sending this transmission across all frequencies. The message showed images of captured humans in strange chambers connected to machines. The alien voice spoke in broken English. We have found 12 carriers of the ancient code. The awakening begins. Surrender the remaining carriers and some will be spared. They're accelerating their plans, Kim said urgently. Whatever they're doing, to those captives, they're planning to do it to anyone with those genetic markers. Alan thought of what Kim had told him, that he carried those same markers, and so did Lisa. Move up the launch, he ordered. We go in 4 hours. Preparations accelerated. The massive underwater doors of the secret base began to open, revealing the dark ocean above. Inside each ship, crews ran final systems checks. On the Defiance's bridge, Alan took his command chair. Around him, his core team prepared for battle. Wells at tactical, Rodriguez at navigation, Murphy at weapons, and Dr. Kim monitoring communications. Lisa insisted on staying aboard despite Alan's concerns about having a teenager in combat. I understand this technology better than anyone, she argued. You'll need me if something goes wrong. Reluctantly, he assigned her to assist Pearson in engineering. 3 hours before the planned launch, Sensors detected movement in the Zerktan fleet. They're repositioning, Wells reported, studying the tactical display. Moving ships over major cities, London, Tokyo, New York, Moscow. They're preparing to attack, Alan realized. They're not waiting for the ultimatum to expire. He opened a channel to the other ships. All vessels, prepare for immediate launch. This is not a drill. Throughout the Lazarus fleet, engines powered up. The quantum displacement generators hummed to life, creating their distinctive blue glow. Displacement fields in standby mode, Pearson reported from engineering. Ready on your command. Alan opened a secure channel to President Harding. Madam President, the enemy is positioning for attack. Request permission to launch now. Her response was immediate. Permission granted, Commander. Godspeed. Alan took a deep breath. All ships, launch sequence initiated. Maintain stealth protocols until we clear the atmosphere. The underwater bay. Doors completed their opening sequence. One by one, the 10 ships of the Lazarus fleet rose from the ocean, water cascading from their smooth hulls. They accelerated upward at a speed no conventional spacecraft could match. Zerktan still haven't detected us, Wells confirmed, watching the sensor readings. Their attention is fixed on the population centers. Stay on course, Alan ordered. We need to get past their outer picket ships without being spotted. As they ascended through the clouds, the blue sky darkened to black. Stars appeared, along with the looming shapes of the Zerktan vessels, hundreds of them surrounding Earth like predators circling wounded prey. Plot intercept course to their command ship, Alan instructed Rodriguez. Remember the plan. We need all 10 of our ships to hit their flagship simultaneously. Course plotted, Rodriguez confirmed, using Saturn's rings to mask our approach. The Lazarus fleet accelerated beyond Earth orbit, staying in tight formation. They would swing around Saturn, using the planet's massive rings to hide from Zerktan sensors, then approach from an unexpected angle. As they passed the moon, they saw the destruction of the lunar colonies firsthand. Craters where bases had once stood, debris floating in the airless environment. Look what they did to our people, Murphy said, his voice tight with anger. Focus, Alan reminded him. We'll have our chance for payback soon enough. Approaching Saturn, Rodriguez detected an anomaly. Commander, I'm picking up Zerktan communications near the rings. I think they've set up a monitoring station. Can we avoid it? Alan asked. Rodriguez shook his head. Not without adding hours to our approach. Alan made a quick decision. Lieutenant Wells prepared to take out that station with conventional weapons. We can't risk using the displacement field yet and alerting their main fleet. Aye, Commander, Wells responded, targeting the station. As they drew closer to Saturn's majestic rings, the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The Lazarus fleet, humanity's last desperate hope, prepared for the battle that would decide the future of their species. The UES Defiance led the attack on the Zerktan monitoring station near Saturn's rings. A single missile struck with surgical precision, destroying the alien outpost before it could send a warning. Station neutralized, Lieutenant Wells confirmed. No distress signal detected. Commander Alan Blackwood nodded grimly. All ships continue on course, maintain radio silence. The 10 vessels of the Lazarus fleet glided silently through Saturn's rings, ice particles bouncing harmlessly off their hulls. The massive gas giant provided perfect cover as they approached their final jump position. On the main view screen, Earth looked small and vulnerable, surrounded by the alien armada. The Zerktan ships had begun moving into their final attack positions. They're not waiting for their ultimatum to expire, Dr. Kim observed. They're attacking now. Then neither will we, Alan decided. All ships, prepare for final approach, quantum displacement generators to full power. Throughout the Defiance, the distinctive hum of the generators increased in pitch. The blue glow beneath the hull brightened as power flowed into the experimental systems. In engineering, Chief Pearson and Lisa monitored the energy levels closely. Reactors at maximum safe output, Pearson reported. Displacement field forming. Remember, Lisa added, we'll only get one chance at the directed collapse. Alan opened a channel to the fleet. This is Commander Blackwood. In minutes, we will engage an enemy that believes itself invincible. They came to our home expecting surrender. Instead, they'll find humanity's defiance. He paused, looking at the determined faces of his crew. No matter what happens today, remember this. We are fighting for everyone and everything we've ever loved. Earth is counting on us. Prepare for battle stations. Rodriguez's voice came next. Jump coordinates. Locked in. Ready on your command. All ships jump now, Alan ordered. The Lazarus fleet vanished from Saturn's shadow and reappeared near Earth, directly behind the Zerktan command ship, a massive vessel 3 times larger than any other in the alien fleet. The sudden appearance of 10 unknown ships caught the Zerktan completely by surprise. For several crucial seconds, they failed to react. Quantum displacement fields active, Pearson shouted from engineering. Around each human ship, the shimmering energy field expanded outward, creating a bubble of distorted space. The nearest Zerktan vessels finally responded, turning to engage this unexpected threat. Their weapons powered up, targeting the human ships. They're firing, Wells warned. But before the alien weapons could discharge, the displacement fields touched the first Zerktan ships. The effect was instantaneous and terrifying. Where mighty alien warships had been, nothing remained. No explosion, no debris. They simply ceased to exist as their atomic structure was torn apart by the quantum field. It works, someone shouted on the bridge. Alan remained focused. All ships target the command vessel. Prepare for directed collapse on my mark. The remaining Lazarus ships formed a pattern around the massive Zerktan flagship. The alien vessel attempted evasive maneuvers, but it was too large to move quickly. Smaller Zerktan ships rushed to defend their command ship, only to vanish upon contact with the displacement fields. Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the Zerktan flagship, Kim reported. Put it through, Alan ordered. The alien commander appeared on screen, its 6 eyes blinking rapidly in what might have been fear. What is this technology? It demanded. This is forbidden knowledge. The old ones decreed it should never be used. Again, Alan didn't bother to respond. All ships execute directed collapse, now. In perfect synchronization, all 10 human vessels collapsed their quantum displacement fields in the exact same way, directing the enormous energy release toward the Zerktan flagship. A blinding flash of light engulfed the alien command ship. When it faded, nothing remained of the massive vessel. Throughout Earth's orbit, the remaining Zerktan ships began to retreat. Their precise formation dissolved into chaos as they fled toward the outer solar system. They're running, Wells said in disbelief. Earth's conventional defense forces, witnessing the incredible scene, began pursuing the retreating aliens. The tide had turned in seconds. In the aftermath, Dr. Kim intercepted final communications from the fleeing Zerktan. They're sending warnings to their homeworld, she translated, warning them about us. What exactly are they saying? Alan asked. Kim looked up from her console, her eyes wide. They're saying, the sleeping ones have awakened. The prophecy was true. Humanity has remembered the forbidden technology. The cycle begins again. As the Defiance turned back toward Earth, Alan gazed at his home planet. They had saved humanity today, but he couldn't shake the feeling that this victory marked not an ending but a beginning. Whatever connection existed between humans, the Zerktan, and the mysterious technology they had used, one thing was certain. The universe would never see humanity the same way again. When human fleets arrived, enemy fleets vanished in seconds, and the stars themselves took notice.